Hello, hello, hello. You are inside of the ML Bailey Consultants Live. I'm Marcelyn Bailey, and we're talking about how I stay focused during a busy day. Now, if you work full time, if you have a family, your mother, like me, although my daughters are in college, it's a little different. I don't have to deal with little ones, but they are still uh, around and talk to me. If you're a wife who has a spouse, husband who has a spouse, we know that you're very busy, right? What if you are a side hustle social worker like me, or if you have a side hustle business? We know that being busy during the day not only means your 8 hours that you work your full time job, it also means whatever hours you're choosing to work in the evening on the weekends as well. So, I wanted to answer this question today for you, and I did answer it in our blog post on For Real Social Workers Online Magazine, as well as on www.happyhalfhour.club. But the question is how I stay focused during the day. And we know that there are many things that take our attention away, right? And so I wanted to share some of the things that take our attention away from what we're doing. Also, talk about some of the strategies that I use to do that. Now, it's not just being busy that's really a big issue for many working people. It's the interruptions. The interruptions are random, they're unexpected, and they can occur at any time. And it's not that we even have a way of gauging the source or the scope of the interruption before it occurs. It just happens. So, how can we deal with interruptions, especially when we have to try to maintain our focus? So, let me talk about a few interruptions that we encounter during the day and how I personally deal with them. And these may be some of the things that you can incorporate into your busy day. First and foremost, there are phone calls throughout the day. I get calls on my cell phone. I get my work cell phone. I get calls on my office phone. I also get calls on my personal phone. So, how do I deal with the volume of calls that I get while trying to complete a task? Well, one of the strategies that I use is first, I screen my calls. I will check my caller ID to determine whether it is a call that I need to take at the moment or if it's something that a caller that I can call back. So that's number one. I just screen the call. My philosophy is that if it's important, number one, the caller's going to leave a voicemail. Number two, if it's extremely important, like the building's on fire and I need to take action immediately, then that caller's going to call back several times in order to get me. So, first and foremost, I screen my calls. If it's a call that can go straight to voicemail, I let it and I return my focus on the task that I'm taking care of, that I'm doing. Secondly, I set aside time to return voicemail calls. I put that into my schedule. When I know that I have a task that has a specific deadline and I need to work on that and focus on it, I will build in time to return phone calls. So I don't have to worry about a call going the entire day without me addressing it, or a situation going all day without me addressing it. If the caller has left a voicemail, then I will take the time to call them back during the time that I've designated for that purpose. So that's one way to deal with phone call interruptions. Another interruption that we often have to deal with is what I call the open door policy. So when you're at work and you are working, if you're a popular person or if you're a person who likes to talk, like me, I like to talk, people will come by your office and they may just stop in, either to chat, either to ask you a question, either to get your opinion about something. And so it takes your focus away from the task that you're working on. One of the things that I do, especially if I have a deadline that I'm trying to meet, I will just put a note on my door basically saying, I can't talk to you right now. This often happens when I'm doing dictation. I'll just put a sign on my door saying dictating. And so people who work with me understand that this is not a time to disturb me or interrupt me. Again, if the building's on fire, they have my permission to interrupt me. Otherwise, they let me finish my work. So I will put a sign on my door, just basically letting them know that I'm not available at this moment to talk. Also, when I do that, um, I feel that it gives me more control over my time as well as my space. So, phone calls, open door policies are things that contribute to interruptions. And if we address those with strategies that work for us, depending on our situations, then we can limit those interruptions and we can stay focused. The other thing is social butterfly, and I alluded to that just a few moments ago. I'm a person who likes a rousing conversation, and I can get caught up in a good conversation. And when we do that, those conversations can last 20, 30, 40 minutes. Well, when I'm busy, I will avoid looking up from my desk. If I hear people outside my office, I'll just close the door. I don't make a big fuss about it. I will just close the door. It's not because they're making a lot of noise or they're disturbing me. It's because I need to maintain focus on the task I'm working on. So I will just close my door. Also, I will avoid making eye contact when people are walking by or if someone comes to my door. I can see them out of my peripheral vision, but I will avoid looking at them directly because eye contact often gives the impression that they are invited in. So, or you're wanting to engage with them. So, those are two things that I will do only because I like to talk and I like to be around other people. So, I will either close my door or I will avoid making contact with them. Another thing is what happens when I go to the restroom. So I'm always tempted when I go to the restroom um, to visit people, my friends who are at work. So if I'm working on a major project, or again, if I have a very specific deadline, I will change my location for the day. I'll just go to another building, which I am fortunate in that I do have that opportunity. I have that option. I'll go to another building. I'll go to a space away from my office so that I can drill down and focus on my task, my project, and get away from the temptation of socializing with others. The last thing well, it's not the last thing, but the second to last thing I want to bring up is boredom. Boredom is a challenge that often contributes to lack of focus. And this occurs when the task is not fun, when it's how can I say it? When it's not challenging, but and it's tedious. It's a task that has to be done, but it's not challenging, it's not interesting, and very monotonous. So, how to overcome that? Because when we're doing tasks like that, it's very easy for us to lose focus when we're taking care of them, when we're trying to complete them. So what I will do is I will definitely put the deadline for completion on my calendar. From there, I'll work backwards and I will divide the work into smaller pieces so that on a daily basis, I will work on the project or I'll work on the task so that I can complete it by the deadline. But I do that because if it's not something that will hold my attention, it's easier for me to spend a small amount of time doing a part of it on a daily basis than it is for me to try to complete it all at once. So that's one of the strategies that I use to address tasks that are boring, monotonous, uninteresting, or challenging. The last thing that I want to share that causes us to lose focus is not having a plan at all, not having a plan about how we're going to address our day. In a previous blog post and in a previous live, I shared that it's important to have a mission. It is very important to have a mission for your day. So every day I go into it having a mission, something that I want to accomplish by the end of the day. And I have defined goals as well as action steps that I take throughout the day to complete that mission. So I schedule it, I plot meetings, appointments, even expected outcomes and deadlines on my calendar. I also use my calendar to prioritize what I'm going to do, as well as monitor my progress. Additionally, I will schedule breaks in. I'll put that on my calendar. Depending on how my day looks and how it works out, I will schedule breaks. I will put in time for mindful rest and relaxation so that I can get a brain break during the day, throughout the day. I find that when I have a brain break or what I call a mindful moment, it re-energizes me. And so it helps me to get through my day. So these are 5 things that cause us to lose focus on a busy day: phone calls, open door policy, being a social butterfly, boredom, as well as having no plan. So, how do you stay focused during the day? I'd like to hear from you. Just drop your comment in the comment section. I look forward to seeing you again. Look forward to sharing tips for you to get through your day without losing it. Also, sharing tips for those of you who have side hustle businesses or desire to have side hustle businesses. I am Marcelin Bailey, and as always, take good care.